Hello and welcome back to the Mind Over Madness podcast with myself and the wonderful Sean. Woo! So welcome back, guys. I hope you are all doing well, and I hope everyone's happy.
Yeah.
So yeah, but if you haven't joined us for these podcasts before, we have a little bit of a routine. It's a loose routine, but we have it. We start off with a little bit of news, then we go into some gaming stuff, which I think is going to be quite a long section today. I feel because we've probably
Yeah.
got a lot on that one, but we've got some films and movies, and then we end off with some random things.
Yeah.
So yeah. And on that note, I think we'll get into it. So, how are you? Let's start it off with a polite hello. And how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's been we're on the back end of a lockdown now, so just trying to get through to the other end, but then,
A month already. I can't believe it's been a month already that you
I
guys
know.
have been in lock. Like this year has just flown by. I don't know if it's just me.
No, it's definitely flown by. I mean, it's been a write-off, but it's also flown by.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
Um,
Absolutely. It's been a write off.
yeah. Yeah, it's just unbelievable. Like, if you think 12 months ago, we were just living normally, and now this is our new normal, but
Yeah.
whatever. We've
Quite
gotten
literally.
used to it.
It's life. This is what we have to put up with now.
Yeah.
Fucking government.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. Much better than I was a couple of weeks back. Um, yeah, I'm doing much better.
Good.
Taking it easy, not rushing into stuff. My light on my iPhone is on. I just blinded myself.
Are you
Sorry
trying to do
about
a bit of like creative underlighting there? I want to look, I shoot
that.
it.
Look, it's sexy. Um, yeah, no, I'm all right. I've not been up to a lot. Obviously, I started streaming and stuff again this week, but
Yeah.
it's not like I've done a lot of it.
It did feel
So
like a little bit of a blast from the past of the horror streams and things. It's like, oh, this is like
yeah,
Alien Isolation and Outlast and things.
yeah. Well, hopefully, I'll be streaming that. Well, tomorrow, technically, in the times like the time we're in now. But if you're watching this in the future, sorry, you missed it.
You can watch it on demand, I think.
Yeah, it'll always be on demand.
Yeah. But
But yeah,
on that bombshell, we
yeah,
shall get into the nitty gritty, I suppose.
yeah. Let's get the news out of the way, shall we? Because let's face it, it's been a bit of a up and down week in regards.
Yeah. Um,
If would you like to
so,
start?
England. So we've obviously just mentioned the fact that we've been in a lockdown, but I think we're coming out of it on December 3rd and
Yeah,
going back into a tier system.
fun.
Um, I think you're already in a tier system
Yeah,
again.
it's literally just one tier, which is you're high or you're not.
Oh.
Wales are like really weird with it. I don't know why we've never had like a tier system. It's just been it's either good or bad.
Yeah. Well, England is three tiers again. Tier one, you can do whatever, pretty much what you have, the hell you want. The rule of six, though. Tier two, like there's a few more restrictions, and tier three, like you can't mix with other people indoors, but you can mix with one person outdoors. Oh.
Oh, I fucking know you. So, right, sorry, I was like sorting my camera out. I apologise. Right, there
um,
we go.
yeah, so I think I'm in tier two when I come out of it, but Manchester's in tier three, but
Yeah,
I'm
most
like technically on the border.
isn't most of it like tier three and tier two basically, like the entire of
Oh
England,
yeah,
pretty
like
much.
99% of it. There's like
It's
I don't know,
nuts.
Cornwall or something that's in tier one. They give you whatever the hell you want.
That's
Popular
nuts.
holiday destination. I don't think they'll be in tier one for long.
Yeah, everyone just turns up. It's like, ah, fuck, we're in tier three.
It'll be like the civilians like waving cars to go back. Like, we don't want you here.
We want to go home.
Oh, they did something like that in Blackpool. Like some of my family that we don't speak to anymore is from Blackpool, and they're like, "We don't want you here. You're not allowed here."
Wow.
And I was like, "I'll gladly go."
As you do.
So yeah, it's interesting that that Manchester is in tier three when the R rate is lower than actually in London.
Yeah,
I have a slight feeling that Andy Burnham may be maybe
might have.
responsible for that. Well, Boris was responsible as
Yeah,
like a backlash to Andy Burnham.
yeah. I
Uh,
think he might have a few choice words.
yeah, it's just so unfair. It's just like amplifies that north-south divide as well.
Yeah, it
Um,
does. It seems like such a broken system. Like I know that isn't the three tier restriction now is actually stricter than it was before as well.
yeah,
Isn't that
it's
something?
stricter, but at the same time, it's not as strict. It's like strange because all non-essential shops all gyms can remain open throughout all the tiers, but in tier 3, restaurants have to shut down.
Yeah. Didn't Boris say something along the lines of, it's because we're keeping schools open that's why we have to... Yeah, there are certain lines we have to draw, like in regards to hospitality. But doesn't that just seem like a cop-out? Like an excuse? Like, he's like, oh, well, we want to keep schools open, so fuck your business.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. I mean, I live next to 2 schools. You see them coming out and going in the mornings, and they're just... It's like no social distancing whatsoever. It's just a free-for-all, basically. I mean, that's fair enough, because you can't really control the young people. But
as I learned,
it's just a free-for-all, and they're just the ones that are going to be spreading it to the grandparents, to the parents, to everyone else in society. I mean, it's not just them, but, they're one of the biggest contributors.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I think the thing to point out as well is, like, we're not blaming, like, kids that are going to school, right? Allow me to clarify on this. Kids that are going to school, that is not their fault if they end up spreading it. They're being forced to go back to school. But, if you're a teenager that's in a big crowd that likes to walk around because you think you're clever and hard, you're a fucking moron. And you should be treated as an injured horse.
Absolutely nothing wrong with going back to school. You're being told to go back to school. Education is important. Blah 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 blah.
We've discussed this. It wasn't for me, but
No, yeah. Stay in school, kids.
Stay in school.
So it's the government's fault for mismanaging the whole situation. Definitely.
I agree.
So there was a big discussion about whether schools should have a 2-week earlier break, so that they can self-isolate before they see the parents in Christmas.
Wasn't unions trying to call for them to close on the 11th?
Yeah. The school unions they're always kind of banging on about something, but they're usually right. Whereas the government saying no,
it's fine, it's okay. I've got my microwave meals. It's fine. They can have chips.
Yeah. They get asked these questions at the press conferences, and they're just like, "Oh yes, that's actually a good idea, but we're not going to do that." Oh well, we didn't actually think about that during our lunch.
During our lunch, which the taxpayers pay for. Yeah.
And apparently, students at uni have to take 2 tests before they're allowed home for Christmas.
Man.
I mean, if I was at uni right now, I think I would have come back home at the start of it. I wouldn't be dealing with that.
Yeah.
In Manchester and else, there's building bloody cages around all their holes and stuff.
And they just rip them down anyway.
I know.
I mean,
I was on one half, I'm like, oh, vandalism, but on the other half, I'm like, yes, go students. You do.
It's like you're in this middle bit of you're being treated unfairly. We get it, but at the same time, will you please follow the rules?
Yeah.
Fight back, but with sensible choices.
Yeah. There was one video of one leader saying, make sure you respect social distancing rules and all this. It's like, oh well, at least you're saying it, even if they're not doing it.
Yeah.
That's it. Just we have a right to protest.
I mean, you
all
do,
kinds of
but just be
protests have been
sensible.
going on.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I've kind of avoided the news on that stuff just simply because of how police have had to deal with most of these protests.
Yeah.
And I don't fully agree with all of the choices that have been made in regards to the law and everything, but I mean, it's the government's way. It's the government's way.
So that's all a difficult thing to manage.
Yeah.
And obviously we'll move on to the Christmas 5-day breaker thing.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. What's the kind of? Do you think let's start off with this. Do you think it's a good idea, or do you think that it's a bit of that thing? Because isn't it something like instead of 3 households mixing, you can now mix 4, little things like that.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where on paper, no, it isn't a good idea, but in reality, everyone's going to do it anyway, so you might as well put a cap on it. I think that's what Mark Drakeford said, First Minister for Wales. I think he said something along the lines of when he was being questioned, he got asked if he thought, I'm paraphrasing here by the way, so just in case someone's like, well, he didn't say that, he said this. It was something along the lines of he got asked if he agreed with it, and he said, well, people are just going to do it anyway. Yeah.
So what's he said, let's not be naive here. People aren't going to listen to us if we say no, you can't mix with your household, your households on Christmas. everyone needs it. It's a mental health thing as well. Like, so much has been taken away this year, even if it costs. But there was like talks about it. Like, I think it's a good idea. I think people aren't going to listen to it anyway. Personally, myself, I got asked to go to like a Christmas dinner with my family. I said no, because it's just I'm not willing to risk it. But that's me, whatever. I'm still going to see my family on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be me, my mum, my nan, and my granddad. 2 households. That's it. We're like my family are being super careful with it. But that's just what we chose. At the end of the day, the law is going to state that you can mix 4 households if you wanted your entire family round. Ta-da!
Yeah,
you can now. So
I guess it's that thing where there's just has to be a point where they've got to give some responsibility to the people, and as well not treat us all like kids. We're telling you when to have your holidays and when to have your family around and how to do it and when to do it and what to do.
I think that's been the biggest difference between England and everywhere else. Especially Wales. I think Wales have had the most laxed rules, yet they've had the least amount of cases in most of the time. Obviously now I think it is slightly different. I think we are higher slightly, but even with the fire break. But I think England has had like some of the tightest restrictions, right? As well as
nobody's fucking listening.
Yeah, as well as Scotland. Scotland have been really super strict on it as well. So, I mean, I think it needs a good mix of both, and I think that's why they all 4 parts of the UK have now come together and been like, hey. Over Christmas, just fuck it,
I do like the fact that they've all come together because ever since the start we've been divided. United Kingdom, we are not.
Yeah, and with Brexit looming, that's not the best position to be in.
I know. We need to just unite and have a standard set of rules. It doesn't really matter where you are in the country. You need some basic rules.
Yeah, I think the basic foundation should be the same for everyone, and then kind of if certain areas are worse, then obviously deal with them as they come. I think that's kind of the approach that's been going, but I feel like the approaches have been so different and drastic,
so poorly communicated.
That it's kind of shown the weakness that we actually do have in the UK with devolved administrations and things like that. Like Boris has constantly avoided talking about Scotland and their devolved administration. Wales, like Mark Drakeford has multiple times told people to stop asking him about Wales independence, even though I'm all for it, but it's not the time. I think people are missing the main point of what's going on with the pandemic and everything.
How did they do it 70 years ago when there's wars on and stuff? How did they get the message out then? And everyone seemed to understand.
I think it's just people weren't so ignorant back then. they took.
Everyone wants to be, a snowflake these days and be. Because it makes me feel claustrophobic.
If you are one of those people that wears a mask and it's uncomfortable, A, you're probably in the high risk. B, you should wear a fucking mask.
So you wouldn't win a bomb shelter during the war because you're claustrophobic.
God, no, I'd rather stay outside with the bombs.
It's my free rights.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it, how people react differently. Like, if it's an actual physical threat that you can see, suddenly people will follow whatever they're told. But when it came to COVID, people were like, it's fake.
Yeah, non-believers.
You what, mate? It's... I will say this much. Through this pandemic, it has been interesting to see, how people have reacted differently. A lot of the times this got compared to kind of when we were back in the war. Boris, when he did his first speech about having the country locked down, this is the tightest restrictions we've ever had during peace times. And it's interesting how people have reacted so against half of these restrictions and rules, calling out the government, saying it's fake and all this conspiracy bullshit. But then when the war was happening, it was like, oh, I can physically see that, so it's an actual threat.
Actually see the damage that it does.
Yeah,
it's an interesting point.
I think a lot of people don't follow the rules because they haven't seen it. I've seen my mum come home and break down crying when she was being a cleaner in the hospital, seeing people in COVID wards. So it's a different aspect that I've seen of it. Whereas people who haven't seen any evidence or anything that's affected them, it's like it doesn't exist. As the famous soon-to-be ex-president of the United States would say, fake news.
It is an interesting point, for society in general. It's people react so differently to things they do see with their own eyes, and for example, disabilities and things. If you can't see, a disability doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's an interesting point.
It's a common, misconception.
What's wrong with you? I can't see it. Oh, cheers.
And we've had it with like people having. I know we just kind of made fun of this, but people not being able to wear masks with some certain like Asperger's or something.
Yeah.
And then they're getting like ridiculed and shouted out of shops and things where people were trying to like force because you can't see a disability.
Yeah. I think that's another thing as well. People are like, well, if they're not wearing a mask, why should I wear one? It's like, you don't fucking know that person's life. They could have a respiratory illness. Yeah, granted, okay, they're a bit stupid for being out at that point. That's on them. But let's say they live alone and they have to go shopping because they can't get a delivery for like a month or something. Let's face it, those things have been stocked up. They have to go out and get essentials.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think that's another thing why people have criticised the rules. It's like, well, they're idealistic rules, like things that would put in a perfect society. And it's like, well, a lot of these rules can't be followed by people because of conditions or positions that they're in,
And that also links back to trust as well, because the government themselves don't follow their own rules.
Yeah. I mean, we've harped on this. It's like a vicious, like, it's an ecosystem that is destined to fail, because it's just one thing after another. Although I will say this much, a lot of the situations that I've seen more recently, I would say, are more positive to it. Like, more people have been following the rules, although questioning them a lot. And sort of being like, I don't agree with them. I have seen more people following rules now than, let's say, 3 or 4 months ago, which is weird because you'd think by this point people would be trying to flout the rules more. I don't know if you've had people might have different situations, but that's just from what I've experienced.
I think I would say the opposite.
That's fine.
I would say at the start people seem to be definitely following them. It was the clap every Thursday at the sky.
Yeah.
And people were like all in this together when it was a full national lockdown. But as soon as the tiers things come in and one area can be okay and the other area is not okay, then it's like, oh, well, this is unfair. We want to be like that.
Yeah.
And then it's the division amongst the nations and devolved nations as well.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree, but I mean, granted, I don't leave my house that often, so I'm probably not experiencing people. The only time I leave my house is at like 1 o'clock in the morning when I go for my nightly walk. That's it.
At the start, it's like you're allowed, to go out once a day for like exercise, and like we did, and like when I did go out, then like people were actually waiting by the side of the road, and so that you could actually get past them.
I don't give a shit now.
And now it's just brush past each other's shoulders and like.
Yeah, literally, people will cough at you, and you're like, "Are you fucking serious?" Yeah.
Like coughing up a lung, and I just stood there over the open bakery section.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Vic's had a series of different experiences working in, obviously, a bakery down in town. People like coming in the wrong door, not listening to the floor signs. People just don't care anymore, trying to hand them money, like literally forcing it through a tiny gap, being like, "I've washed my hands." It's like, yes, but how long ago was that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Weird. It's
one of my friends works on a toll bridge, and they're being constantly money forced in the small crack. Like you're not supposed to give money. Like it's all supposed to be like on cards and stuff, but and people are like, oh well, it's legal tender, you have to take it. It's like, no, we don't.
Exceptional circumstance. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, the stories that everyone's got to tell is just unbelievable.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I'd love to get people on here to be like, what was your experience? Like, if we're still doing this next year, and like, let's say the vaccine happens and everyone's okay again, we can kind of go back to a length of normality. Who knows? Maybe if you visit, we'll have like a podcast in person. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
We can have like people on and be like, hey.
I've got 5 days over Christmas.
Yes, exactly. You could come down for like, that has got to be a nightmare. If you came down for like a day, that's a 4-hour trip just for a day. But yeah, I mean,
I'll have to be super desperate, but maybe it will be.
By that point, it's like I just need interaction.
I need to be human.
I need to be around people.
Yeah, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Oh man, incredible. Yes, but
and the back to the 5-day thing.
Yeah. That thing that we were talking about. Yeah.
So it's kind of unfair to say, oh, you can have 5 days off for Christmas, but when your business was collapsing, you couldn't have any days off then. And yeah, and it's interesting how it's like from the 23rd to the 27th. It's not including like New Year or anything like that. So a lot of people don't celebrate Christmas as well. So
yeah, it's a strange one, and it's that thing of is it really worth the risk, you know? But I think I do agree with the government in the sense of people aren't going to listen to the rule anyway. If they said no, people would just do it. So it's just easier for them to be like, hey, between these days, we know there's going to be a huge spike, so we can be more prepared for when it's going to hit us. Shit.
yeah.
But yeah, I knocked my paper.
I think all the scientists will be saying, "Oh, it's a completely political decision rather than a scientific one." But I mean, they have to say that really.
I think as well as it's one thing to hear the science, but as has been drilled into us over and over, it's, you know, if they were to just listen to scientific evidence, there probably would be a lot more businesses closed and probably a lot more, you know, jobs lost.
Mental health absolutely ruined.
Exactly. I think it's it's a lose-lose no matter what. But I do think that I do agree, only barely with the government being like, hey, for these 5 days you can go see family and stuff. Barely, but
probably 90% of the population just needs right now. Just
yeah.
a bit of loosening.
I think it's also just what they would do anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just like, who gives a fuck? It's Christmas.
They want to try and maintain that control and say, oh yeah, we allowed people to do this.
Yeah. It's that image of control, isn't it?
But yeah, do you have anything else on lockdown specifically?
Not specifically lockdown. No, but I do. I do have some stuff about the Prime Minister's questions.
Oh.
Because I decided to tune in a couple of days ago when they did that, and my God, it is clear. It is clear that I'll link, by the way, it'll be linked down below to anything that I reference. It'll be in the description. I'll sort that. But yeah, it's quite funny because even the Speaker of the House told Boris to basically shut the fuck up. Like, so, you know, he basically, as always, he answered nothing. You know, any kind of points that Keir put across. And what was interesting is Keir did it in such a way that he was like, let's go over the 5 things that, you know, corruption, you know, leaking, that kind of stuff. And to every single one, Keir just more and more just made Boris look like an immature little boy.
Yeah.
And it got to one point, you know, again, I highly recommend people go and watch this one because it genuinely was more entertaining than it probably was political. But Boris basically just called out Keir and was like, oh, well, what about this? I'd like him to answer this. And the Speaker just stood up and went, I would like you to know that this is Prime Minister's questions, not opposition questions. And Boris literally answered back to him like a 10-year-old being like, well, I don't think that. I think that's ridiculous. And he went, I think I'll make a judgment call on that. Thank you. Keir, please continue. And it was like, Jesus Christ, Boris. You can see that he's losing control.
Yeah.
And he's just, it's failing him more and more and more.
Yeah, you'll start to see more Tories kind of going against him, I think.
Yeah.
And like, now that they know he's probably not going to get re-elected and whatever.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, he's fucked. Like, what surprises me is I think Keir's got a bloody good chance of having Labour win the next vote. Yeah. Only, and like, not, but, and again, I'm just going to put this out there. I do not agree with everything that Keir Starmer has gone for at all, not even close. But I do think that he has taken advantage of this situation. He has made Boris look like an idiot. But without being sort of like, oh, well, my party could do better. He's done it in such a way just by questioning him and being like, hey, what about this thing? And Boris never gives an answer. He just fucking goes, oh, well, what about the leader of the opposition said this thing? It's like, just answer the fucking question, you dozy bastard.
Yeah, it's the best way to deal with things like that. It's like, rather than throw insults or attack them, you just let them dig their own grave.
Exactly. And the thing is, what I don't get is why wasn't he just honest and just been like, yes, there is a person leaking information in the government. I am trying to investigate it. I haven't found that person yet. I'm sorry. I'm working my arse off to work out who it is. People would respect that more than him going, well, he just keeps questioning my authority. And I literally was looking down. It was like, You were literally like a schoolboy being. You remind me of me in school when I used to get told off.
When he gets told off, he just like slumps back into his chair and just like.
And one of the best parts was when Keir said something else. He'd be literally, Boris did this. He looked straight into go, ooh, ooh, literally. I was like, wow, how on earth did you become the Prime Minister? A man that not only doesn't answer political questions or, can't take criticism, but when he's questioned on authority turns into an ape. Ooh, ooh. It's like, you fucking idiot. I don't think he's ever looked like more of an imbecile. And it's ironic that those clips are so difficult to find. Yeah. Like, it's like the government doesn't want you to know he's a bellend. That's speculation, by the way, to save myself any trouble. Just in case.
Nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, nothing would happen, but, just in case, just to cover my own ass. But I found it quite astonishing. Like, we all know Boris is an idiot, but the way he was acting was so disrespectful towards the House, towards the Speaker, and I know Keir is obviously the opposing party and they are going to question each other and whatever, and that's fine. That's democracy. That's how you have two sides that are allowed to say their side. But he just kept interrupting him. He kept trying. Do you know what? It reminded me of Trump when he had the first sort of electoral talk with Biden. Yeah. When they had their first debate. It was just constant interrupting, spouting bullshit. It was like, Christ, we've got a mini Trump.
It is kind of awful in a way, because that's like, it's the whole Trumpism. Political things like kind of turned on its head, and you're allowed to be an imbecile and a buffoon and say whatever you want in a position of power when you should be a kind of responsible professional. But that it's a kind of seeping into our politics now. So.
It's unfortunate because, admittedly, our politicians have never been that great. Let's face it, the MPs have complained about their pudding being too fucking squidgy, which is disgusting considering they don't even have to fucking pay for it. But yeah, I mean, I feel
like posh school.
Yeah, I feel like politics has become a joke. I don't even think it's a real like staple anymore. Like British politics used to be like a big debate talk. I mean, Christ, when Thatcher was in power, so many people did not like her for good reasoning. But at least back then it was more serious and it was taken more seriously. Yeah. And now it just feels like a game show, like who can score the most points.
Yeah, as much as people found Thatcher to be horrible or whatever because she changed the economy around and stuff, but she did make some big changes, and she kind of revolutionized the way politics was, and it was very serious back then, as you say.
Well, before her, not many people talked about it. Yeah. Although she was a cow and she fucked this country royally, she did manage to get more eyes on politics and people took it more seriously.
She called a lot of things years ago that are now being talked about, like Brexit and how much money we're putting into the European Union and things like, we want our money back.
Yeah. Again, Brexit could be a brilliant tool for the UK, but how it's been handled by Boris, it's just shameful. I understand why David Cameron walked away because he opposed it. He said, no, I don't want Brexit. And he should have stuck around and done his job. But
Theresa May was a total flop.
Theresa May was never going to do well. But then again, she is still an MP. She still deserves the respect from the rest of the MPs. And there's that classic clip that wasn't that long ago, like just a couple of weeks ago. Boris walked, Boris literally, she stood up, said one word, and Boris got up and walked out. Yeah. And you heard the opposition going, way. It was like, for God's sake, it's like watching kids. It's like watching a kid's school playground. It's ridiculous.
So that's what they do all morning. Then they go to the canteen and have their, egg chips and beans.
And complain that they're not good enough,
and sponge pudding, which is
cold. How could I? I don't even pay for this and it's disgusting.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's just they probably finish at 3:00 and then go get the bus home. Cop on all the civilians and go back to Scotland.
I wonder what that's a reference to.
We will bring it again.
But yeah, the next thing I was going to talk about was Matt Hancock and his complete farce and ignorance of the bad decisions he's made. And an interesting thing, I don't watch news and terrestrial television, it's not a thing, but this clip was circulating quite a lot on YouTube, was he went on Good Morning Britain. To because their avoidance of them apparently just stopped, and he was questioned on, obviously MPs have there is in a discussion currently that MPs will be getting a pay rise, and he got asked a very simple question: would he decline a pay rise considering what's going on and the economy and stuff? What do you think Matt Hancock said?
I think your viewers would like to hear about the important issues.
You're not far off. You're not far off. He basically wouldn't answer. And it was even, and I can't believe I'm agreeing with Piers on something, but he even just went, look, I'm not asking you to say if it was forced upon you, but I'm asking, do you think it's right? Yes or no? And he just would not answer.
Yeah.
Wouldn't do it. He wouldn't deny that he would accept a pay rise, and it was like, well, of course he wouldn't. He would accept a pay rise. He's Matt fucking Hancock. He literally is his second name. Cock. Like, he can't do his job properly. He's failed at every fucking hurdle. The bell end, even when he heard the words, I still remember this clip. It was fantastic. Do you realise that people that have older versions of their phones and stuff can't download the app? It's fantastic. It's like
fantastic.
Jesus Christ.
I don't agree with a lot of what Piers says, but I mean the way he holds government to account over things is it's been gold through this pandemic.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not a fan of Piers Morgan. I'm not. But the way he talks to them is just, he is talking on behalf of most people now. Again, I don't like him. I don't agree with 99% of his points, but that 1% of points that he's been throwing at politicians recently, he is absolutely the person that is just like, fuck you, answer the question.
Yeah, if politicians want a grilling, then that's definitely the show to go on.
Yeah, which is why they don't like going on it.
I know.
Because Matt Hancock's standing there like, here we go again, another 10 minutes of pain and suffering.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm going to get asked questions I don't want to answer again.
Yeah, it's just, he's a tosser.
But I like how they made a big PR stunt out of it, like 192 days of government boycott and
it's funny because it worked and more people watched it, and it was like when they finally went back on there, it was like, that's why the clip circulated so much. Oh god, excuse me, burping.
The viewer ratings went through the roof, even if there was no factual government information, mind you. Factual and government information is two different things.
Kind of speculative on that front now.
Blur the line.
No, boss. Alright, the next thing, quickly, that I was going to talk on, it's the last thing I've got for news, and if you don't have anything, we can move off of this.
Oh, I've got one more thing after that.
Oh, but I'll quickly do this, because it's only a small one. It is based on the Orange Man himself. Basically, he had a press meeting recently, and when he was... he said to a reporter, don't talk to me that way. It's that big thing that's happened recently. He was like, don't talk to me like that. I'm the president of the United States, and it was ironic that he went on to say, it was like, don't talk to me like that. He was like, respect my authority, and then he turned and said, and I quote, you people, and then quote, you're just a lightweight.
Yeah, like you're nothing compared to me.
Like, what the fuck? How can you possibly sit in your tiny desk at your little throne because you think you're still fucking powerful, Mr. Trump? I hope Melania dumps your ass and you end up in prison, you scumbag. But yes, putting my personal views aside, it's ironic, isn't it, that he was like, don't talk to me like that, in a sense of show me some respect. And then the literal thing he did was call people beneath him, essentially. And then they're nothing. It's like, how disrespectful.
Like an orange Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, I am not a fan of the press. I do think they are little people that try to, capitalise on mistakes and things like that. But that's their job. Yeah. They're meant to get the news. I might not like them, but that's their job. They're allowed to do that. And it was just disrespectful. How did Obama deal with people like that? He called them hecklers, made them look like idiots in front of everyone, and carried on like a boss within 30 seconds. How does Trump deal with it? You are beneath me. I am a king. and this election was fraud of the greatest outstanding. My lawyer was not on Borat, and he wasn't gonna get a blowjob. He didn't touch himself. It's like, I hate it.
There was like a thing about a year ago where Trump invited all the press's like children to meet him in the White House, and it's like, oh, the beautiful, beautiful children. Here, take some chocolate for all your friends. And then, how do the press treat you? Your mummies and daddies don't treat me very well.
Oh wow, yeah. like literally manipulating it to be like, hey, go home to your mum and dad and be like, call them tossers. And
but it's interesting seeing him in that situation, like surrounded by kids, not knowing what to say. Is that purple hair? But yeah, Rudy Giuliani.
What a fuck nugget.
That clip the other night, and
it'll be down below. Don't worry, if you people want to, like, I'm not a fan of Borat, but I highly recommend you watch this one. Like,
he claimed he apparently called the police then, because he was being set up, and he claimed he was tucking in his shirt when he got invited into the bed.
I fucking debate anyone to come on here and debate me. He didn't even have his shirt down his trousers. His both hands were down his pants.
Yeah, where was that microphone?
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? He was adjusting. He got a raging hard on. And he was like, I need to adjust this. But maybe if I lean back, she'll,
Yeah. How did you not realise that was a scam, though? He had those fake accent.
Disrespectful. But, like, even if it wasn't a scam, imagine that was just a naive, brand new reporter trying to be respectful, trying to,
That's what you thought,
yeah, and everything. And it was like, oh, crikey. Just, it's like so cringy.
I know.
As Sacha Baron Cohen always makes everything fucking cringy and shit.
But shy away from controversial.
Yeah, but I mean, I do respect him for doing that one, because he clearly made... I do like it when he walks into the room and just how quickly he just shoots it up like, shit!
Yeah, and he's like, no, they're too young for you. She's too old for you, that's it.
Yeah, or something like
15, she's too old for you.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's scumbags all around. There's like the whole gang around him. They're all flawed and
it's grim.
Greasy.
Yeah. Just disrespectful.
Slimy.
I won't say any more on the Trump matter. 20th. All I'll say is this. This is my last thing. I can't wait for the 20th of January when he's dragged out of the White House in cuffs.
Yeah.
So.
Apparently, his like investigation into the counting of the votes has gone against him now. It's been denied in loads of states, and the fact that Biden has actually gained more votes through it now.
I know. I found that when that came out, it was like, oh, by the way, Biden had an extra like 10,000 votes. What? Can you imagine? He just, oh, son of a bitch! How did this happen?
Yeah. On a very different topic, I suppose.
Yeah, let's move away from Trump.
It's kind of just different to everything we're talking about. Apparently, by 2030, they're going to stop selling petrol and diesel cars, and it's going to be all electric.
I saw this. I don't know how that's going to be a thing, but
I know it's probably not going to like affect us badly for like another 50 years or so, because everyone will already have their bloody cars by then, and I don't know what that's going to do to petrol and diesel prices. Hopefully, they're not going to go up too much.
Inflation.
What kind of pressure is it going to put on the national grid having all these charging points everywhere, and how much is that going to cost? Like, they're going to have them everywhere. All the supermarkets, every single space has to have a charging port.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this much. I do think it's a good thing, because it is going to help the environment, of course.
Yeah,
but
eventually, yeah.
I think it's a tricky one. How are you going to afford it for a start? Are you going to replace everyone's cars with electric ones? Really? Probably not, is my guess.
No, I suppose the logistics of it, like these electric cars aren't meant to go for hours on end. I mean, there could be more breakdowns and what have you, and I don't know. It's probably going to be one of those things where it's going to happen, and we're all just going to get used to it anyways. But
yeah, it's a trial and error thing. I think the majority of it.
It's a bold claim to say, like, by 2030 we're just not going to sell you any cars. And what about all these used cars that people are going to be selling? They're not going to stop people from selling used cars.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think they want it to be the case, but I think that's just when the law will come into place, and then it'll take years and years to actually, succeed and get to that point.
I'm sure Greta Thunberg will be jumping for joy about this news.
Yeah.
While she's skipping school.
Yeah, mad. School's important unless you're Greta.
For all the people to, put their views out there, which scientists has been saying for ages, but
yeah,
you can listen to if you're a child.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, let her speak. It's only fair. Jesus.
The mighty powers.
Yeah.
I suppose it's good, she's brought some more attention to it, but I'd rather listen to David Attenborough.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, to be fair, I think he endorsed her, didn't he? He was like, she's doing great work. She's doing fantastic work.
She's like, my generation are never going to see polar bears. Oh.
Actually, to be fair, probably not far off the truth. I think that's why people are listening to it.
Yeah.
I'm David Attenborough, and the world is fucked.
Yeah. My life story.
Oh, I do love. By the way, if no one's watched that documentary, go watch it.
Yeah,
it's very
so good.
Very, very good.
Right, how about we move on to some fun
gaming news.
Yeah.
Gaming news. So, big thing.
Huge.
It's massive. It's a big one. It's right to my right-hand side right now, off camera. The PS5 was released in the United Kingdom and in Europe. Yeah, and me and Sean were amongst some of the lucky few who aren't scalpers, cunts, who managed to actually get a PS5.
Yes.
So, yeah. How's your experience been with it?
Yeah, we were both giddily excited on Thursday, like messaging each other. Where's yours?
Just literally said.
Weirdly enough, they both arrived around the same time.
Yeah. And then we were like sending photos of him, like, oh my god, I've unboxed it. Oh my god, look at it.
But yeah, it was a fun day. I've never really gotten a console at launch, I don't think. So that was pretty exciting stuff. And it's like the very first thing he did was play Astro's Playroom and like figure out the controller. And I was like, yeah, this is so cool. Oh my god,
so good.
This is totally not a gimmick.
Yeah. I platinumed that fucking game. I couldn't stop playing it. It was so good.
Good, it's the best. And anyone who gets a PS5, definitely play that as your very first game. It's the best tech demo you'll ever play.
Oh, aye, definitely. Goes through the history of PlayStation and everything.
But as far as our experiences, mine got delivered by Amazon, so I think I was quite lucky because they use their own courier service, and you can actually track where they are on the map and how many stops away they are and stuff. So that didn't help the it's 3 stops away. He's literally down the street. I just run out there and get it. But yeah, he turned up. He just like kind of dumped the thing on the floor like quite forcefully. I was like,
he just looked at him. You bastard!
Thanks. Because I was excited, like getting ready to. Oh, thank you so much. And then, oh, okay.
Oh, cheers! Thanks for bringing that. Fuck
no
you.
way the delivery drivers didn't know that what was in that package. Yeah. But anyway, it's
mine
fine.
Definitely did.
What about yours? What's your experience?
My experience was the delivery driver went, I'll give you 450 quid right now for it. Legit, no joke. The guy was like, I will pay you 450 quid to take this off you right now. And I went, no. No.
You should have turned into a scalp. 4.5 grand, maybe.
Yeah. A scalper will take that, man. But my experience was good. Putting it all together, setting it up, piece of piss. It's very easy.
DVD delivery, was it, or?
Yes.
They're quite reliable. They're one of the best.
Yeah, it was quick. It was easy. I could track the entire time. I think I even got a reminder call. I just didn't answer it because I was still sleeping that morning. That like around the times, but then they send a text through and stuff. It's like between these times.
I know a lot of people who ordered from Game were severely disappointed because they went through. I think it was either DPD or Yodel. Yodel. Very reputable company.
Yes.
and there are reports of them not they were at capacity basically and didn't like deliver them on the day. I know one of my friends had them delivered the next day and stuff, which is not the end of the world.
That's not okay.
But, yeah, when you're really excited and you pre-order for release day, you really do want it on release day.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Huge.
Yeah. It's been very enjoyable.
Yeah.
The silence. PS.
Apart from a tiny little bit of a whirring of the fans.
See, I'm weird. I don't even have that. Like, people were complaining about the disk drive, and then when I use the disk drive, it's fucking silent.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've just got lucky, but
I think I use the disk drive like a little bit, and I think every hour, if you keep this disk in while you're not doing anything, like every hour it kind of whirs up just to verify it. And I'm like, what the fuck's that noise? But yeah, it's all right. I just take the disc out anyway.
I don't know if it's just a case of that because I've dealt with a PS4 Pro for 4 years, that just any kind of silence is nice. Like those things were jet engines. There was no fixing that problem. So to go from that to complete silence, I don't know. Maybe I've just got fucking love heart eyes of just I'm happy. But yeah, it's excellent.
But yeah, setting it up was easy, as we say. We were like, it's not that huge. But,
yeah.
I
thought it was going to be bigger.
Because everyone was going on about how huge it is. I mean, it is big, but it's not, the worst.
I mean, it's next to my PC, and to be fair, it's probably about half the length and about 3/4 of the height. So it's a big boy. It's a big boy. It's a big one. But it's not like I expected it to be like this fucking huge block of mass. It's just not. And the innuendos that we'll talk about later. But it's I don't know. I'm getting a heart. Yeah, it's weird. I thought it would be a hell of a lot bigger than what it was, but no.
So I think we asked this 2 weeks ago, like what you're most excited about, and so what are you most impressed with? I'll ask.
Ooh, good question. Do you know what? Ironically, the frame rate.
Yeah.
I honestly was like, okay, yeah, consoles are great and all, but let's face it, they're not going to have upgraded every single PS4 game to do 60 frames. They're not going to have unlocked every cap. No, I don't think I've played a single game that hasn't run 60 frames flawlessly.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think the thing that's most impressed me is the silence, like how quiet it is considering the power, and the performance of it. I mean, granted, I haven't played a PS5 game on it, ironically, yet, except for Astro's Playroom. But yeah, I mean, it runs really well. It looks incredible. Like Astro's Playroom was definitely. I'm lucky enough, admittedly, to have 4K telly and the HDMI cable to go with it. And honestly, it's astonishing. Because what I found ironic as well is I went back to, was playing that, and I obviously when I streamed recently, I used the PS5, but I did it through the capture card, and the capture card caps at 1080. So no matter what, the picture quality comes out as 1080, and you fucking notice it. And the frame rate wasn't hitting 60. It was nuts how quickly I could pick this stuff up now, and I'm like, oh Christ, if I ever play a game anymore, it's going to be torture now. So, but yeah, I'm very impressed. What about you?
Yeah, I'd say performance as well, and frame rate is buttery smooth, and it just kind of highlights how things were held back by last gen, which is why I'm a bit disappointed that there's not many games coming out that are just for PS5. But I understand why they're doing that.
Yeah. I think Cyberpunk's the weird one.
Yeah.
You can't pre-order it for PS5, but you can pre-order the PS4 version.
Yeah, because there's not a PS5 version till like mid bloody next year.
Yeah, weirdly.
And yeah, the controller was quite impressive as well. It's one of those things you've got to feel to experience.
Yeah, definitely.
With the haptic feedback and triggers.
Yeah.
I can't remember the word for it. Resistant triggers or something.
Yeah.
but yeah, it's one of those things you've got to feel it to experience it. And I was impressed by it to start with.
Describing it is difficult, isn't it? Because I remember we talked about this. We were like, oh, when you feel it, it might be a bit weird, so you might get annoyed and try and push it and force it down. But it's a weird sort of resistance. It's not difficult to push it down, but you feel like a bit more pressure and stuff. Yeah, it's a weird sense because it's not like, so I feel like if I played COD Online, let's say, it would get annoying. I think you would definitely turn it off for that. But I feel like in regards to single player games and stuff, it makes it 1,000 times better, more immersive and stuff. I mean, granted, like I said, I've only played Astro's Playroom, so that's all I can go off. Hello, puppy.
I knew it was a mistake to have you on my lap here.
Oh, puppy.
But yeah, what was I going to say?
We're talking about controller.
Yeah, the controller was definitely impressive. I've been describing it as like surround sound because I'm into my audio and stuff. It's like surround sound.
It is.
For vibration in the controller. So if you get hit on the left, you feel it on the left. Like that's definitely when I play Watch Dogs anyway.
The dog agrees. Oh Christ, you've had a fun time of it with Watch Dogs, right?
Yeah. With the region code on the disc, it's like they've not sent the right ones to the UK or something.
Yeah.
And they've not done anything to rectify the problem.
I mean, the dog agrees, man. The dog agrees. Yeah, it's
a pain in the ass now.
It's definitely a weird one for Ubisoft. It's not surprising. It's Buggysoft, let's face it. But I mean, it's kind of I thought they would have nailed that part,
Yeah, I mean they've done it for every other region, but apparently it's the UK and some other regions. So in the end, I had to do a workaround where I made a Turkish PSN account, and it allowed me to upgrade very simply there. So yeah, that's the workaround, and I'm playing the PS5 version. I couldn't be bothered waiting any longer.
Yeah, no, I suspect you probably aren't
worth
the
it?
person. Not really.
But yeah, whatever.
Yeah. I haven't tried Valhalla yet.
I should definitely try that.
I really want to, but at the same time, I'm like, I need to finish Dragon Age. Jesus Christ, that game. Oh God, burping. It's issues. But yeah,
it's kind of a weird situation because like we've got this new console and there's not really anything we can next generation we're playing on it.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's COVID and stuff like that has made it so that launch titles are very kind of slim, and there's not really many that really interest me that much, which I'm like, oh my God, I must have it now.
Yeah.
So as far as generational leaps go, I'd say it wasn't as big for this at the moment. I mean, it's got the potential to be amazing when they fully start doing PS5 games, but I should say between the PS2 and the PS3 was the biggest leap in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
the HD side of things.
Absolutely. I think this is definitely the biggest leap in console power and generation that we've ever seen. Whether that will continue, it varies on the developers. I know that we've had a mess around in like No Man's Sky, on the PS5 version of that, Dead by Daylight. You've had a little bit of a play around in them, and I don't know if you'd agree, but graphically they look lovely, and they do have haptic feedback and things like that, but they do seem very basic. Like, as you said, there's nothing that's really a generational leap right now that's like, oh no, you can only play this on PS5 or Xbox Series X.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely play all the above on PS4 quite happily.
Absolutely, yeah, and they still look really good. But
it definitely has the edge on PS5, but it's not like wow.
Yeah. I think the ironically probably one of the more controversial ones was Division 2. When we played that, the frame rate improvements and the graphical fidelity, at least on my telly, was a hell of a lot better than PS4.
Loading times as well, it's so good.
Oh God, so much less time wasted on just staring at a fucking screen. It's impressive, to say the least, and clearly the hardware is with, because the thing is, I think when the PS2 came out, it was something like 650 quid, 700, something like that. So for these consoles to be, the highest price for the PS5 at least is 450. That's pretty fucking good. Yeah. So, I heard a lot of people recently when I was like watching podcasts and videos and stuff recently was like complaining about the price. I was like, you realise how expensive consoles used to be, right? I think the PS4 Pro was pretty fucking up there.
And games have obviously gotten a bit more expensive over the years, but
Yeah.
they come down in price so much. So
I just get games when they're on sale anyway.
yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. But yeah, have you been playing anything good recently, my good sir?
Literally just been playing Watch Dogs Legion and Destiny, the new expansion for that, pretty much. Yeah, I think I mentioned something about Destiny last time we did the podcast. I won't go into too many raptures about it, but yeah, it's good. They keep on adding some stuff to it, but I'm definitely feeling the grind on it now.
Yeah.
It's one of the things where they want you to pump more money into it all the time, so it leaves a bit of a bitter taste. And as far as Watch Dogs Legion, I like the campaign to that, and I'm enjoying it so far, but I don't know how long that's going to last. When it's done, I feel like it's going to be done.
It's like, I'm never going back.
So I'm enjoying those, and there are some played some Dead by Daylight, but there are some issues with the PS5 version where it's the UI is super small, and you got like
squint to see.
I feel like it's a proper eye test, that one. Hopefully they fix that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Damn.
What about you? Playing anything good? Dragon Age?
Dragon Age Inquisition, I'm still fucking grinding through that. I'm trying to just focus on stuff. The problem that I find with that game now is just that it's obviously with any BioWare game, it's a huge world building game. So there's a lot of talking and stuff, and I find that I'm only playing the game for like 2 hour stints at max, which is fuck all of that game. So yeah, I've been playing other games at the same time now. I went through the last year's COD Modern Warfare remake campaign. That was actually quite good. My Name is Mayo 2. If you've ever heard of the My Name is Mayo, they're completely pointless games. Completely pointless. But My Name is Mayo 2 was excellent. And I stand by my decision. That is the best 99 pence I've ever spent. Astro's Playroom, obviously. Fantastic game. I won't say too much on it because I think people need to experience it themselves. I apologise if you're trying to get a PS5 and you can't experience it. I feel for you. Outlast 1 and the Whistleblower DLC recently finished them on stream again. They are always fun horror games to play through. Dead by Daylight, Division 2, you know, kind of the norm.
The usual roster.
Yeah, it's the usual roster. But yeah, that's about it. I haven't really been playing much, surprisingly.
Is there any games you want coming up?
Ooh, I did get Metro Exodus and Borderlands 3 for the PS5 recently because they were on sale. It was like 20 quid or something like that. Cyberpunk, I really want that game, but I think I'm going to wait for the PS5 version simply because I've got the PS5, so I may as well wait. Yeah, other than that, Stray. Playing as a cat. I can't wait for that game. Problem is that they've just got just announced, so it's like they don't actually have a time frame for it. So and same for Horizon. I know they said that Horizon Forbidden West is coming out next year in early 2021. I think they said, but I don't know. COVID's probably fucked that a little bit.
Yeah, it's fucked everything.
Yeah, fuck off, COVID.
Yeah. Why got to live though?
Why you gotta be
but at least
so
we got the PS5 at launch.
And at least we got the PS5. That's all that matters.
One goodness to come out of the year. Yeah, I'm excited for Cyberpunk, and there's one called Temtem, which I'm interested in getting. It's like an early release in December. It's a bit like Pokemon-esque MMO style thing, which I've been wanting for a while. That style of game.
Oh, fair.
So that's what I'm interested in. Yeah.
Persona 5, that's one that I'm looking forward to playing as well.
Yeah, I played through about half of that, and then I've got a bit worn out on it.
there's that obviously was part of the PS collection, so I was like, yes. And Days Gone. God, I can't wait to play that game again.
I kind of forgot I was playing through God of War. That's the big one that
yeah. That's one I need to go back.
I don't know how long I've got through that, but I've been playing it for quite a while.
My save for that game, my save disappeared. I don't know where the fuck it's gone, so I've got to restart the entire bloody thing. And I want to get 2 trophies, and literally I was that close to getting them, and then I platinumed the game. I was like, fuck.
But yeah, it's just gorgeous as well, like 60 frames and just lush environments.
I can't wait. I don't intend to fight the Valkyrie again though.
I had enough trouble with the bloody elf boss or something. I can't remember. He like surprise attacked you at some one stage, and you're like, oh, I had to do it about 7 times. I was like, no. But that's just because I suck. So
it's a hard game, man. It's challenging, fun but challenging.
It's I could throw that axe around all day. It's just super fun.
It feels so good, so much better than Marvel's Thor.
Oh god, yeah. If they did like a Thor game with just those mechanics, I think that'd just be perfect.
Actually, that's something
in Ragnarok.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Something I was gonna. Well, you see Thor at the end of God of War. For those of you who don't know.
No, I already did that.
The cutscene, yeah. I actually didn't get it when I played through it, but you have to do something specific, I think, and you get
You've
the
got to
cutscene.
go back to your little hut, I think.
Yeah. But yeah. That's just to hit on that. Marvelous Avengers has been a complete flop. They lost, I don't know, something like 8 million yen or something. Or 8 billion, or 8 billion, I don't fucking know. It's like a high number. And apparently Square Enix are still delusional enough to think that the people are going to come back just because of Kate Bishop and Hawkeye. No. I own the game. Nope. Like, it's the worst amount of money I have ever spent on a game.
Starting with Kate Bishop, they needed to start with like Black Panther or something, like something to get people back.
But even Hawkeye, I mean, I get why they're probably working on because apparently there are storylines to these characters and stuff. And I am intrigued to go back, but if they think that's what's going to save it, and this has been questioned now, people obviously, these were meant to be free updates, right? They're like coming into the game. I don't know if this is true, this is complete speculation, but apparently they are considering charging for them now. If they do that, they're not even going to get close to having people come back. So I can't imagine they're going to do that. But if they think that just because they're releasing like a new character, people are going to come back and grind out on that character, it's like, no, the base mechanics of that game are fucked. Like boring, fucking uninteresting, uninspired dog shit.
Yeah.
And you had Marvel's Avengers. How do you make a game and not make it good? Like, look at Spider-Man. Fuck me, that game is incredible. And apparently Miles Morales is just as good.
Yeah. I can imagine so.
I can't understand how they managed to fuck that so badly. It's Avengers. How?
It took off more than they could do. I think they halfway through development, it's very clear that they've changed direction and want it to become like a co-op Destiny style,
a live game. Service bullshit game. When it's like when you should have just done a single player campaign and released DLCs. That would have worked better.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Because again, the story to it was not bad, but the fucking repetitive bullshit gameplay.
Yeah, if he made the Lego Marvel game, but just with non-Lego things. That would
We still need to play through that. You're like, oh, I don't want to do it, James. I don't want to do it. That's what I'm going for now. That's what I'm going for. I'm shit at the flying mechanics with Iron Man, though. I don't know how I'm going to do those races, because I suck at them. Sean, help me.
We'll get it.
Yeah. But yes, any more
Godfall as flopped.
Oh, God, yeah.
The PS5 exclusive game, as far as I'm aware. It's the best looking one, but it's also so little content that it's literally should have been a free to play game.
Yeah. Apparently, people
have
just
scam and stuff.
Yeah, I think from what I've heard, because I've not played anything, I've only seen like reviews and gameplays and in-depth like descriptions and stuff of it. So I'm not speaking off my own experiences, but I only heard about this game like recently with all the bad PR it was getting. It looks incredible, like the game looks beautiful, but at the same time, apparently from what people are saying, it's like repetitive, crappy, there's barely anything you have to do. They did the Anthem thing, apparently. Oh, now you must go off and do all this shit to continue. Oh. So it's like, oh dear, that's not great. It's not great.
Yeah.
And apparently it's short as well, like super short.
Yeah, if they're charging so much money for it, and like there's like over 150 quid editions of it as well.
Yeah, if you're in Australia, God help you, it's like £184.99 or Australian dollars to get it, which is insane. That's unbearable amount of money.
Yeah. It's just
yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else on games?
I don't think so. I don't think I've got anything else.
Okay, we'll move on to TV.
Films, TV, and movies.
Woo.
I barely have anything for this week. I was meant to watch so much more, but I'll admit I've just been heavy on the PS5.
Understandable.
But yeah, anything you've watched, good sir?
I've watched a series that I've watched is The Clone Wars. Finally, getting around to doing that. It's been one on my list for so long, but I've just not had access to a means to be able to watch it in its entirety. But now I've got access to Disney Plus. I was able to watch the entire first season. And I've watched an episode of season 2 as well. There's 22 episodes per season from like 1 to 4, I think, and then there's a bit less going on. But it's one I've been getting into because I've been watching Mandalorian as well, and there's lots of references in there. And like, oh great, now I'm gonna have to watch it all. So. I mean, the people were recommending, oh, why don't you just watch specific episodes? It's like, no, I'm going to watch them all, and I'm going to watch them mostly on my own so I can absorb the information in the screen.
I mean, I've watched the first 2 seasons, and it's good. It wasn't for me, but, you know, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan as it is, so...
It took a while to kind of get into it, but I am enjoying it so far, and the fact that the episodes are quite short as well helps.
Yeah.
You kind of don't get, bogged down with 40 minutes filler.
Yeah.
But, yeah. That's the series I've been watching.
That's cool.
And it's going to continue for quite a while, I think. It's going to take me a bit of time to power through all of those.
Yeah. Oh, fair.
Any series you've been watching? And
Finished Lost, finally! Season 1. Finished season 1. It's done. Started season 2. Obviously, me and you watched the first episode together, which was cool. Yeah, I'm definitely in that now. I'll admit it. Season 1 was quite... Obviously, they have to kind of like build all the arcs and the different characters and stuff. And obviously, they're building a big base. But season 1 ended with quite a traumatic ending. But so one good point with mixed in with like other plot points that were quite unfortunate, shall we say. But season 2 has started off so well. I'm like, holy shit! I really want to like keep watching it now. Like I've avoided watching like any other films and stuff because I've still got the disc in my PS5. I'm like, I will watch this. I will. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting through season 2 of that. It's definitely gone from kind of the survival thing to horror, more at least from the first episode of season 2. It's definitely gone the more horror vibe.
Probably why I liked it as well. A bit of horror in there.
Yeah.
But it's, not horror as you know it in your little jump scare moments, but it's creepy atmospheres and stuff like that.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
It all adds to the element of mystery of the island.
Wow. Sorry.
We've been blabbing for a while, haven't we?
It's more. I just think I haven't eaten today. I've had like 1 cup of coffee and 1 cup of tea, and that's it today. So I'm probably my body's running on fumes.
I've got some nice cold green tea here, but I don't really want to.
Yeah. And the only other thing I've been watching other than that was old Top Gear specials because I own the sets. I was like, oh, I'll go back and watch them because I've really enjoyed the Grand Tour, and obviously the new Grand Tour special comes out now next month. I was going to say this month, but this won't be out in December. It'll be out 2 days before, or a day before, which is again insane. But yeah, I've been watching them. They're a lot of fun. They're just kind of throwaways to watch if you don't really have anything else that you can think of.
I do really enjoy watching those, and like the dynamic between the three of them is gold.
I have to be honest, like it's not so much about the show it was for me, it was like the specials that I really enjoyed and got into. Although with the Grand Tour they did a fantastic job before they obviously retired and aren't doing the show anymore, and it's kind of just specials.
Yeah.
But it's taken them a year to make another one, like what the fuck?
It better be good then.
Yeah, it better be. I'll be very disappointed. But yeah, excited.
Yeah. A film I watched recently is Game Night. It's a very cool one. I think it's on Netflix. It stars Jason Bateman and a load of other well-known actors. It's basically a horror comedy thriller kind of action-y one. It's a mesh of everything, but it's quite funny and kind of dark humor throughout it. And I was kind of surprised at how much I enjoyed it. Basically a game night, which is like kind of gone all out trying to prepare for this thing, and then something horrible happens, but they still think it's part of the game, and it goes from there.
It's like, I want to play a game.
And they're like, oh yeah, oh, what's this clue now?
Oh god, it's like being in an escape room, but your life's on the line.
Yeah, and not realizing your life's on the line.
Yeah, being very naive about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much naivety that it like gets through half the film. You're like, oh come on, how do you not know by now? But then you finally realize.
You fucking dumbasses.
It's just so good. Such a great idea. And that's what I enjoyed. Definitely. Any films you've watched at all?
I don't think so. Weirdly enough, I don't think I think I was like so focused on trying to get like Lost season 1 done. That's pretty much where my attention
Those episodes are long as well.
Yeah. So it takes a while. I don't think there was anything else. It's coming up to December, so there'll be a lot of stuff that I'll be talking about in the next 2 podcasts. I think we'll have room for 2. Actually, no. Will we? Let me check. I got to check these. No, we won't. There'll be one more before Christmas, unless we decide to do an extra one or something. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we will. I don't know. We haven't discussed that yet. But no films. Sadly, it's been a slow week. But the next 2 weeks, I've got a lot of shit to get through. Like I want to try and finish Lost season 2, but I've got a lot of films that I want to watch as well. So that'll be good.
So what do we think about Gavin and Stacey? Do you think that's going to come back at some point?
Well, definitely not coming back this year, unfortunately. I've got a funny feeling it's going to be a few more years if they're going to do another special. Annoyingly so, because
they left it on a bloody cliffhanger.
Fucking addicted to that show. I could recite every episode, including the last Christmas special, word for fucking word.
Yeah.
But
so
it's
good.
I mean, Ruth did an interview recently where she talked about it, and it's just a case of that because of James Corden being in America and her being in Wales, it's a difficult dynamic to try and write something. I know the BBC have said multiple times that they want them to do another one. Let's face it, it's the only show that gets them views, so they're like, do more. But I don't see it happening anytime soon. And I have a funny suspicion that's it. I don't think they're ever going to do anything else with it. I think they want to, but I don't think they will.
It'll be one of those things where we'll start to forget about it, and then 5 years down the line, there's another episode that comes out as a special. It's like, oh well. I don't think they'll do another full-on series though.
No. Unfortunately, I don't see them doing that again either. I honestly think Ruth said it best. In her most recent interview, she was like, I'd be quite happy to leave it where he left it, because it leaves you wondering, did Smithy say yes? Did they get married? Did they, and it's those things that are unanswered, but it's like, I don't know if they could answer it to people's expectations. Like that Christmas special was so anticipated, like one wrong move, it could have ruined everything. And I think they're very acutely aware of that. So I hope they come back and they do more with it, but I'm not very
and obviously
very hopeful.
It got so much backlash for the bloody Fairy Tale of New York, like last time when you sang that, and then people were offended by the lyrics.
You scumbag, you maggot, you cheap lousy faggot. Merry Christmas, my arse, and pray God it's our last. It's a Christmas song. Fuck off, you snowflake. Like, Jesus Christ. It's not like the song is directed at a specific group of people. Jesus, faggots used to be food.
They still are in some places.
Yeah, I mean, they're tasty.
I can go to Iceland now and buy some faggots.
Yeah, they're tasty, man.
Yeah.
I used to love those. I can't even say that fucking word anymore without someone getting upset. Oh, you're saying a rude word. How can I be offending those people when I've been in relationships with men? The fuck? Yeah. A tangent, but come on.
Right.
But yes.
Anything else that we want to cover in people? Or shall we move on?
Yeah. I don't have anything left for that section.
Let's move on to interesting things.
The random thing section. I have a couple of questions, but my first one.
Okay.
it's a completely off the cuff random thing, but what's the best job that you've ever had? Random question.
I've only really had a handful. I was working at a race course for some time. I was working at Argus for a while, and what I'm doing now is probably my favourite one because it's what I've trained to do. I suppose just being a sound designer and editor slash because that is what my passion is, I suppose. And I suppose if they say if you do something you enjoy, you never work a day in your life, but that's not quite true. But yeah, that is mine.
Fair.
What about you?
Oh, crumbs. I enjoyed being a hairdresser. Weirdly enough, I enjoyed doing that for a while. That was quite cool. Oh, I love it.
You can mess with my locks.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed being a hairdresser. Admittedly, I started learning to cut hair when I was working in the place, but unfortunately I got let go because someone more experienced came in at the time. I think I was like 15 when I did that. That was cool. I enjoyed doing that. That was a lot of fun. What was I? Well, being a carer, I loved that job, even though I worked fucking ungodly hours. I did love that job, very passionately. I think that was the last job I had. Yeah, sadly, that was the last job I had. But yeah, those two stand out to me. I hate office jobs. Fuck me, they're dull.
I really hated Argus.
What was it so much about the? So I will ask a couple of questions with this one then. So about Argos then, what was so rough about working there then? Obviously not to drop anyone in it, but
it's just the fact that you get basically treated like it's like a hierarchy of people. The ones who are permanently working there, who've all been there for 40 years. The ones who are just come in for like the Christmas temp thing, which is what I was doing. You just kind of get treated like shite, and the managers are all like horrible. I remember one day I was like 1 minute later, so it's as if I just killed his family. And yeah, just the way how it kind of ruins that retail perception you have. Oh, it's magical. I like to go out and spend things, go shopping. But then you realize the other side of it is like people are being talked to you like shit. You have to actually speak to people, which is not one of my strong points. At my first shift there, I had to just be on the shop floor, and they were all moaning at me because they didn't give me an outfit. So I was wearing like a black shirt and stuff. So I literally looked like a manager on my first day.
Jesus.
And so everyone was like asking me things. Oh shit.
Yeah.
But how do I find this Christmas tree? Oh, I don't actually know them.
Do you know what I find? And I found this with retail as well, because I've worked in a couple of retail places. Like I've worked in M&S, I've worked in a burger van and that kind of thing. Especially with M&S, it was like just being dropped in it. You don't really get training. It's just, go on, here you go. The fuck?
Going to till, please. I was like, I've never had any training to till. What the fuck?
Well,
he'll train you now, and he's just like, oh, you press that. I was like, I don't know.
It's just press this button. Not now, you idiot.
Takes you more than 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know.
It's just that firm grip on, controlling you. So
grip. firm grip.
Wow, my hands are white.
My hands are multicolored. No. But yeah, I can imagine that's not exactly the most enjoyable. But what is it about that you love then, about what you do now? So doing the editing and the sound design and stuff.
It's just freedom and creativity, I suppose. Being able to work my own hours and play games.
Freedom.
And yeah, it's not as lucrative or high paying kind of thing, but it's not really what I'm after at the moment. So it's just live every day in your means and try and enjoy it. What's the point in working so long for so much money and not being able to have any time to enjoy yourself or do anything, basically? So I don't know.
That's fair. That is very fair, my dude.
Shall we move on to a different thing? I've got one thing, which is a little bit of fun.
Go on, mate. Go on.
I thought it'd be a bit fun to talk about our embarrassing moments through life. Uh,
Sure. Where do you want me to start?
we just pick out one or two, and
fuck.
then just go with
tricky.
it. So I'll talk about one that happened in uni. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I was just about to do a presentation. Speaking isn't one of my strong points, but I think I got better at it over the time, and doing things like this helped. So I was just about to go on for my little presentation. I was like really prepared for it, shitting myself at the same time. Decided to have a little sip of water.
Oh god.
It goes down, seems to go down the wrong tube, and when it's like a fiercely
Shit.
intense situation where you feel like you're actually going to die because you're choking so much.
Fuck.
And I'm the type of person who gets embarrassed by stuff like that and go absolutely bright red. And yeah, it wasn't a good time. Everyone's like looking at you as well. He's like, "Oh, it's okay, I'm fine, it's fine.
I'm alright." Oh god.
It was bad.
Man.
Choking.
Rough.
Yeah, that's probably an embarrassing moment that I had. Maybe it's not embarrassing to other people because they're like, oh, it happens to everyone, but
it's what happened.
I suppose it's quite funny looking back. But
If you can look back at it in a comedic way, that's the main thing.
It's give you a good story to tell at least.
Yeah, there's that. You always have good stories when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah. What about you? Yeah, any embarrassing moment that pops into your head?
Probably not embarrassing at the time. I'm very much a person that doesn't really get embarrassed. I kind of just brush it off. I don't know why. I've never, I look back on stuff now and I'm like, oh god, that's so embarrassing. But at the time, it was like not something that I would find embarrassing. There's plenty I find embarrassing now. Probably one of the most embarrassing ones was back in school doing a little show that I like to call the Deadly Boys. It copied, Sanchez and Jackass, but worse. And probably one of the most embarrassing moments. I look back on it now. At the time, being 14 and thinking I was the shit, I probably didn't think I was that embarrassed. But I had to sit there, and we had made 22 episodes of this that I'd uploaded onto YouTube and everything. Some of them showing my bare ass and underage testicles. Yeah.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah, it's not on YouTube anymore for the good reason. There was basically two police officers in the headmistress's office with the headmistress and my mum, and we sat there for 5.5 hours and watched through every single second. And at the time, being a kid, I had two of my mates at the time. Their parents had to come in and do the sort of similar. They had to watch the episodes with them in, and you could hear their parents like flipping out and getting really angry with them. It was like, fuck, what have I done? And I went in, and my mum was just sat there, and I shit you not, this was the look. Here I am again. My mum's kind of typical. Oh, for fuck's sake, what's he done now? And we sat there, watched through every episode. We had multiple cups of tea. The poor policeman was standing the entire time, and I shit you not, the policemen were laughing at it. But in all seriousness, they were like, "Look, your son's exposing himself on the internet. He's underage. He's endangering other people." We were one of the worst ones was that we were outside with a BB gun that was black, so it looked like an actual gun. And they were like, you could have had the SWAT called on you, and they wouldn't have waited to find out if it was a BB gun or not. That kind of stuff. Looking back on that, that's quite embarrassing. Yeah, I had to watch all that. At the time, being a snotty, teenager who thought it was the shit, I was like, it's so funny. I'm so creative. Yeah. But I look back on it now, and I'm like, that's not only embarrassing, but shameful.
Yes, there's a reason why they say don't try this at home. And
yeah, there's a reason I had that in my videos as well. It's like, don't try this at home, even though I am. But yeah, it was incredibly popular. It got thousands of views, and it was like a thing that I did when I was a kid, and it's embarrassing as shit. So yeah, that happened. The police ordered they be taken down, every inch of them. So I did.
Every inch.
But as quite literally, but yeah, as the internet does, people downloaded it, re-uploaded it. There are certain things obviously that aren't available from those episodes now. Mainly the nudity. But yeah. Oh, puppy. I think we need a puppy after this story. Ah.
She's like, I'm just bothered about the squirrel outside.
Oh, cute dog. But yeah, that's probably one of the most embarrassing ones that I've got.
Yeah. Okay.
Other than that, probably on night outs when I've got too drunk and then thrown up. Like the typical, I can handle my drink. Yeah. So, yeah. I made a fool of myself by making inappropriate jokes constantly in the past. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Alcohol is never a good mix when it comes to embarrassing things.
That's why after Halloween, I no longer drink. I finished off my Jack Daniels. That was it.
You have a little sherry at Christmas.
No. My mum was like, "You've got to have alcohol at Christmas." I was like, "No, I fucking don't." Yeah, so I'm going to stick with my Christmas hot chocolate. I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, I'd be probably very happy with like a hot chocolate making kit or something. I love my sweet things.
Yeah.
But yeah. Any other questions you had? Good.
I have another one. What's the most scary experience you've ever had?
This is like a Halloween thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a weird one because I was like, well, I want to ask it, but at the same time, I don't think we really discussed experiences. We kind of focused on like ghost unexplainable stories and stuff. But what's the most spooky thing that's ever happened to you? It doesn't have to be ghost related. You could like, I was walking down an alleyway. It was in the middle of the night. It was pitch black, and a weird man touched my bum. It could be anything.
Yeah.
Not speaking from experience, but
I was probably scared when it's in uni. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning. I was walking back from one set of halls to my residence, and like there's this guy who was behind me the entire time, like literally walking behind me like that.
Oh god!
And, like he probably was just like not bothered, but it just felt scary. And then I saw a rat that ran across the road. I was like, ah!
Yeah, it's like a fucking creepy experience when you're walking and someone's behind you and they're going the same way. It's like, please go away.
Especially when it's 4 o'clock in the morning, there's no one else around. And it's like the busiest strip on Manchester, but it's like absolutely dead in that time. And yeah, there's like on family holidays, like experience of like nearly drowning in a pool is probably probably quite scary.
Yeah, no.
When there's like Lilos, like inflatable things, it's like playing on one of those. We used to love our pool toys things. And then you're like, oh, I slipped off it, and then I'm trying to get up for air, and this thing's like there, and I'm only tiny, but like you can't actually get up for air. So I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna die here.
Jesus.
But that's when I was very young, so I probably didn't really comprehend.
Yeah, danger is very different when you're much younger.
But luckily, I must have managed to get up, and I'm still here now. So that's
clearly, you survived. Damn.
What about you? What about these scary experiences?
Scary experiences. To keep it on the real, I guess, would probably be learning that I had not knowing what IBS was at the start when I first got it, because for like 6 or 7 months I was like not diagnosed. I have like severe IBS and stuff, so like food triggers me or whatever. But essentially at the time I was like in Pencoy College. I was doing bricklaying. I think I was 14 or 15, something like that, around that age, end of school time. So I just transitioned to college, and like I had 2 months out of the entire 9-month term that I was in college. Still passed the course, mind, but it was because like I was like eating foods and drinking alcohol and stuff, and it was like I was getting severe cramps. I was like, not to get too graphic, but blood was coming out of an orifice it shouldn't have been. I was like in immense pain all the time, and I was being told that I was making it up and shit like that. So it was like weird. And then eventually I went to the doctor. Like when I went to the doctors repeatedly over 7 months, and they were just like, we don't know what's wrong with you. You're putting it on. And I'm like, motherfucker. So I ended up getting this one female doctor who was lovely enough to, shall we say, give me an examination. And, did the normal, doctor thing. Please lie on the bed. That's lovely. Now pull these down. That's nice. Exploratory Jesus. But yeah, so to cut a long story short,
we want to hear the graphic details.
I was in like the doctors for like an hour. She sent me for like a bunch of blood tests, but she basically went, yeah, you've got IBS. but it's just been untreated, and that's why it's so painful and why you've got so many issues. So she put me on, like, I can't remember what the medicine was called. I was on, like, these tablets for it, and they kind of subside the cramps and stuff. I'm not on them anymore. I just have to be very careful with my diet.
Healthy diet, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I have to have fiber gel if I ever have a takeaway or something. That's about it. For those of you who wanted to know that. So, both. At the same time. So yeah, I have to be
what
like,
are you doing?
what are you doing,
Just
step bro? Yeah, so I have to be like much more cautious now. But at the time, that was terrifying. Not knowing what was wrong with me, being told I was lying about it. Like, I thought I was dying. But I think another thing that didn't help is then the year after, I was eating stuff like, you know, the Carolina Reaper and ghost peppers. Probably not the best thing.
Probably similar to, you know, all the ladies out there having their first periods and stuff, like not knowing what's happening.
Do you know what? Ironically, that's how I describe it. That's when I had my first period.
Yeah.
Blood.
Blood.
There was one point where I turned to my mum and said, "Was I misgendered or something? Am I hermaphrodite?" Like, but yeah,
Is this a vagina?
is this a vagina? But yeah, that was probably the. If I had to like ground in reality, not talking about ghosts and stuff like that, that was probably one of the most scary things that ever happened to me. I mean, being that age and not knowing why that's happening was uncomfortable to say the least. At least now I can imagine.
I can imagine.
It's a tasty, tasty time.
Welch time.
Oh. Going to the toilet was always a ring burner. Yeah, so that probably that one.
Yeah.
Oh, my life. Jesus. But yeah, what are you most excited about this year in Christmas?
I don't know. It's the boring stuff, I suppose. Just seeing my sister again. She's been gone for ages. Well, not been able to see her. She's in Wales, so getting over the border is challenging.
Get out of our fucking country.
So yeah, that, and you know, I suppose just Christmas. Yeah, Christmas dinner. I love my stuffing and my Sunday lunch.
Oh, I do love a good stuffing.
Yeah, maybe being able to travel somewhere, but I don't know. No promises on that.
Yeah.
So what about you? What are you excited about?
Probably, yeah, just seeing people. I think seeing family mostly, because I haven't seen fucking anyone, for obvious reasons. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Sometimes it works in your favour, and you're like, you don't actually want to see these people, but it's like,
oh
yeah, it's cool.
Some inner thoughts coming up. I don't want to see you today. Go away. Yeah. No, I get you. I think that's probably the thing that everyone's looking forward to, isn't it? Being able to be around people. I think we've all kind of missed that human contact. So, I think it'll be. Oh yes, hugs.
To be able to hug someone again, great.
To be able to feel someone.
Not intimately.
Non-sexually. The fact that that has to be clarified is unusual. Not really. It's us. That's kind of the norm at this point, isn't it? But yes, I think that's about it. I don't think. Have you got anything else that you want to add to the random things? It's like, no, I just want to go away. James, let me go play games. Stop dragging me on this shit. But yeah. No, it's been an absolute pleasure, as always, to do this.
As always, it's very enjoyable.
Yes.
Put me on a good track for the rest of the day.
Indeed. Obviously, like we stated earlier, we don't really know what's going to be happening over Christmas. It's only just now that we've realised that technically there's only room for one more. If we stick to our chronological ordering of it anyway. But I'm sure we'll plan something and sort that out as time goes on. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, Sean.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to do these podcasts with you. It's a nice little relaxing time away from the world.
Putting the world to rights. Maybe someone out there listens to us and
maybe
fall
someone.
there.
Oh, there goes the laptop. It's all gone to shit. Yeah, it's a failure. But yeah, so hopefully you all enjoyed it. As always, thank you very much if you did watch it from start to finish. These can be very long and whatnot. But if you listen to it, if you love our voices, thank you. Maybe you'll hear more of them. So yeah, it's been a pleasure. As always, thank you again to Sean for joining. And we'll see you in the next one.
See you then.
Goodbye.